understand me now. Sometimes I feel a little mad, but don't you know that no one alive can always be an angel? When things go wrong, I seem to be bad. I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Hi everybody, I'm the Certified History Nerd, and today I'm talking about a very, 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 very fun uniform. Now, it is not 100% complete, and I will talk about it, but it is, as I like to call, presentation worthy, or reenactment worthy, or reenactment ready. However, there's still some things I need to get that are, well, one's needed for reenacting, the other one is not for every single reenactment, but for some. And the last final, and then there's of course some few modifications I just want to do to, you know, completely finish the uniform. So this is the part 2 of my MacVSog uniform stuff. Part 3 will be of a full display, basically. So I'll get my poncho and then lay everything on it and then talk about everything, but that is when I have every single thing done. Same with my Vietnam stuff. If you looked at it, if you notice, I have part 1 put on the video, because a part 2 will be a full display of every 1st Infantry Division Vietnam stuff for my whole entire uniform. You know, everything like rucksack when I get one, and all extra little bits and knobs. And actually what I might do is I might just collab with historical stuff with Grace and all that, and what we'll do is we'll have I'll get, because I think he has enough stuff to where we can do a full display and it have everything. So this is my MacVSog RT Texas combat uniform for a Grenadier. Before I continue, I want to talk about a few things I'm missing. The one thing, of course, the biggest thing left that I need to get for this uniform is the M79. Let me fix this real quick. There we go. And I will get new pants. These are my 1st Infantry Division pants. My jacket I just got yesterday. But I need to get new pants so that I can get this sprayed. That's the big thing. I want to get this uniform sprayed with black stripes for the self-made camouflage. That's the only modification I need. And then the other thing is gas mask bags. Those were used on certain missions. With that gas mask, they were used on certain missions, but not every mission. So that's why I'm doing this video without it. And I'm doing it without the M79 because I don't need a gun to show at the moment. Just the uniform basically. So yeah, so we're portraying RT Texas. I am an actual reenactment group for this. And our first actual event will be next year at the spring event for the Museum of the American GI. We'll be setting up a display table, and I might be able to join the reenactment. We'll see. But yeah, so I'll talk about my uniform, and then I'll talk about MacVSog RT Texas and my group. So for the uniform, I have standard 3rd pattern jungle fatigues. This is my American impression, and because if you remember last time, if you watched that video, I know it's not very popular, but if you watched my last video on MacVSog, I had tiger stripes, and that was my indigenous impression. Ignore that. So this is my American impression. So I got standard 3rd patterns. I have jungle boots. So yeah, and my 3rd patterns are blank, no patches, no nothing, because MacVSog had no patches whatsoever. For the equipment, I have the M56 suspenders. There is another thing you can do, and I've talked about this plenty of times, and that is a stable rig, which can replace the suspenders and is also your extraction. I'll talk about a bit more about that when I get to the actual extraction pieces. On my suspenders, taped, because MacVSog taped a lot, I have my first aid pouch with an original Vietnam War bandage inside of it. And then here I have taped my U.S. Air Force survival knife for personal defense. MacVSog would use, I talked about this when I talked about my equipment video, but MacVSog would use a lot of personal defense weapons and personal defense knives. On my equipment, I have a total of 5 canteen covers. RT Texas specifically did not use M56 ammunition pouches. As we've been seeing, they use canteen pouches to hold ammunition and other sorts of things. And my suspicion is because these can carry more magazines and more ammunition from M16 or Car 15 than the M56 universal magazines. However, for me, these will only be carrying M79 ammunition and grenades. They don't have those in them at the moment because I don't have that sort of thing. But I'll have M79 ammunition here and grenades in this one. So I have my 2 in the front, which, again, like I said, will carry M79 ammunition. I have 1 on my side, which will carry grenades. Then 1 on each side on my rear, which has a canteen in it for water purposes. And then on my side, as a Grenadier, I'm carrying a Airsoft 1911 in my original 1911 holster. Not every SOG carried a lot of sidearms, a lot of different variants of sidearms. Most of the times you actually wouldn't see holsters. However, they did use holsters to hold the sidearms. Otherwise, it would be in your jacket. Although that's not very comfortable or very practical. On the back, I don't know if you can see it, but I got a jungle first aid kit on my back, in my backpack. And so yeah, and that is for, of course, carrying more first aid equipment. My extra equipment I have is the M79 bandolier, which will carry, of course, M79 ammunition. As I am a Grenadier, I'll be carrying a full length M79, so that's what I'll have. I'll probably have like smoke grenades or something in here. Of course, we have the rucksack. Now, interesting thing about the rucksack is this is not an actual CISO rucksack. It is actually a mini Alice pack from Amazon that my squad leader modified to look like a CISO rucksack. And I mean, by itself, it looks literally identical to these CISO rucksacks. A few things changed. There's just a paint job and some slight modifications. That's okay. Sorry, the bandolier is being a bit of bugger. And then on my rucksack, I have a claymore bag, which will carry grenades, or maybe even a claymore. I still have not decided, but I have that hanging from the rucksack. Yes, it is annoying, but it's actually quite nice, and I wish I probably need to make it to where it goes up higher instead of just dangling right there, but hey, it's fine. On my back as well, right here, I don't know if you can see it all that well, but I have, yeah, you can see it. I have a Hansen rig. If you want to look more in detail on the equipment, I'm sorry, the lighting is really poor where I am, but if you want to look more into that, I have a video on the equipment itself. So if you want to better look at this equipment, go to that video. But so I have a Hansen rig, which is my main form of extraction. It just, you untie it, it wraps around you, you clip it and all that, clips in. And these 2 snap links here are for that purpose of evacuation. One thing that's on this one, and you can see it here, is the Swiss seat, which is just thrown behind me, slung behind me. And that is my secondary form of extraction. The Hansen rig is a lot easier to do than the Swiss seat. Now, another option is you can get rid of the Swiss seat and the Hansen rig. If you go with a stable rig, it'll act as your suspenders. It'll clip underneath your legs, and that just pulls you straight up. It's the easiest form of extraction. However, that's more of a late war, so into the 70s era sort of deal. So like 69, I would say late 60s and getting into the 70s is when you started seeing stable rigs. And then in the 70s, they were a lot more common, and just became the most common thing. And then for headwear, I have a triangle bandage used as a bandana, as that was actually pretty common to see, especially for RT Texas, in favor of boonie hats. Okay, I think that is my equipment. As I said, only modifications is I want to get the uniform sprayed and all that, and you'll see that whenever I do a full display for part 3, but that will be a couple months, so, or a few months, so yeah. So what is MacVSog? I probably should have said this at the beginning, but hey. So MacVSog stands for Military Assistance Command Vietnam and Observations Group. They were a special forces unit that operated in the Secret War, which was in Laos and Cambodia during the Vietnam War. Their goal was to run deep, long distance reconnaissance into the Ho Chi Minh Trail and other places. They even did other such, and basically those were their missions. They would find, different things that need to be found. They would find secret trails. They would take photos of Soviet tanks and equipment, all sorts of things. Basically, they were like the ultimate spy organization. And they would also work alongside the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs were new at the time, but they were also there. MacVSog had a 100% casualty rate, which meant every single member either died. Okay, every single member was wounded. Every single one. Not a single one was not wounded, and many, many, many times. In fact, I think most out of every single time, they were wounded more than once. So MacVSog had a lot of Purple Hearts. But yeah. And then it's basically about MacVSog. My Recon Team Texas, that I'm training. It is, I don't know too much about where they were stationed and all that. I don't know a lot of the specifics about the Recon Team itself, which I don't need to know. But I do believe when it comes to the reenactment group I'm a part of, that I think we're the first RT Texas reenactment group. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But I do believe that is the case, which is pretty cool. So yeah. And I'm the Grenadier for the group, obviously. We have historical stuff. Grayson also is doing it. He has a few videos on his uniform. It is nowhere near complete, but he's getting there. And he is going to, well, right now he is the designated 1-2, although he's deciding if he wants to change that or not. So we'll see what happens with that. And then of course we have our squad leader, and I think we have a couple other people, but yeah, we're a pretty small group, but we're growing, and like I said, our first event is next year, so I'm very excited for that. And prepare for some part 3. I don't know when I'll get that done. Hopefully sometime soon. I don't know if it'll be this year. It might end up being next year, but I really want to get that done, and hopefully I believe I should have that done, that video made and published by spring of next year is the absolute latest. But yeah, anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.